The call came on an ordinary evening, when the air outside smelled of rain and my glass of bourbon sat half empty on the desk beside me. Her name flashed across the screen, familiar letters forming something that once felt like home. I expected the usual, her clipped tone about groceries, her impatient reminders about bills, or maybe a reluctant apology for another late return from work. Instead, what I heard reshaped everything I thought was secure. "I want a divorce," she said, steady, detached, as though she were ordering furniture to be removed. Before I could even inhale, she added, "From now on, you can only speak to my lawyer." Then the line went dead, severed without hesitation, without breath, without mercy. I remained frozen, phone still pressed to my ear, heart hammering against ribs like a fist begging to escape. That small device had just detonated my marriage. No explanation, no chance for dialogue, just cold procedure delivered through an emotionless voice. I stood in the quiet study, shadows growing heavier around me, as if walls themselves had shifted allegiance to her. Books, chairs, even the rug carried pieces of her taste. Our shared life stared back at me from every angle, mocking my disbelief. Upstairs, the bed still carried traces of her perfume, a soft lavender laced with citrus. That scent once pulled me closer, tonight it suffocated. I poured another bourbon, the liquid glowing amber in the dim light. Every swallow scorched, yet the burn felt preferable to the hollowness swelling inside. My thoughts circled back to the same questions. Who was he? Because there had to be someone. People don't throw away years of promises unless another body, another smile, another temptation waits. Her sudden decisiveness smelled of replacement. And yet, part of me whispered something darker. Maybe she had simply grown tired of me. My routines, my predictability, my reliance on comfort rather than passion. Clenched my jaw, hating the thought, hating myself. But anger only carried me so far. Desire, sharp, illicit, undeniable, rose through the cracks of my fury. And with it came a memory. Amelia. Colleague, confidant, trouble disguised in laughter. Our conversations at the office had always skated just shy of forbidden. Her gaze lingered too long, her smile promised more than professionalism allowed. There had been moments when her fingertips brushed against mine as she handed me papers, moments when I wondered how far she'd let things go if I dared cross the line. I hadn't, bound by vows. Now, those vows had dissolved with a single phone call. I reached for my phone again, palms slick with a mix of bourbon and anticipation. My thumbs hesitated, then typed, "Still awake?" Her reply came almost instantly, barely. "Why?" I stared at the blinking cursor. A dozen excuses formed, each one thin, transparent. Finally, I sent, "Need distraction. Drink?" The screen lit again. "Send me a place. Or better, come here." Then a pin dropped, a small red dot glowing like temptation itself. I grabbed my keys, rain hammering the windows as I stepped outside. The storm blurred neon signs into streaks of color, reflections bleeding across the wet pavement. My car engine roared against the silence inside me. I drove with clenched hands, chest heavy, heart rushing not with sorrow but with something reckless. By the time I reached the address, thunder cracked above. Her building rose sleek and modern, a tower piercing the storm. I parked, ran inside, and found her waiting in the lobby. Hair untied, lips painted crimson, eyes glimmering with knowledge she hadn't spoken yet. When she smiled, it wasn't sympathy. It was invitation. And for the first time since my wife's call, I breathed again. The elevator hummed softly as we ascended, her shoulder brushing against mine in deliberate intervals, each contact sparking currents hotter than the bourbon still lingering in my blood. Neither of us spoke, yet silence dripped with meaning. By the time the doors slid open, I felt as though we had already crossed a threshold beyond return. Her apartment opened into warmth. Low lights, faint jazz, the scent of wine already breathing from a decanter on the counter. She kicked off her heels with practiced elegance, leaving them like discarded secrets by the door. "Rough night?" she asked, though her eyes told me she already knew the answer. I laughed without humor. My wife ended everything. One sentence, then a lawyer's leash. Amelia tilted her head, studying me like an artist considering a blank canvas. So you're untethered now. Or abandoned, I countered. Depends on how you want to frame it. She poured 2 glasses of wine, handed one to me, then clinked hers against mine. To framing things however we choose. The first sip coated my tongue with richness, yet my focus was on her lips, stained darker by the liquid. She sat beside me on the couch, knees brushing mine. No hesitation, no pretense. Her hand rested casually on my thigh, heat seeping through fabric. You don't need to think tonight, she whispered. Just feel. Every muscle in my body tensed, torn between restraint and surrender. I told myself I shouldn't, that anger at my wife shouldn't be currency traded for comfort. Yet her touch silenced every rational voice. When her lips met mine, all thought collapsed. Her kiss was not gentle, it was hunger unleashed, daring me to match it. My hands gripped her waist, pulling her closer until our breaths tangled. She slid onto my lap, wine glass abandoned on the table, laughter spilling between kisses like sparks. Her hair brushed my face, silk against skin, while her nails dragged lightly down my neck. I heard myself groan, low, animalistic, as if years of restrained desire broke free in one movement. She bit my lip gently, then pulled back just enough to murmur, "This is what you've been missing, isn't it?" I didn't answer. My mouth found her throat, tasting warmth, tasting danger. She arched against me, fingers clutching my shirt as though tearing fabric apart could unlock something deeper. For a moment, I saw my wife's face flash across my mind, cold, detached, speaking of lawyers and separation. The image dissolved instantly, replaced by Amelia's heat, her body pressing insistently against mine. Whatever guilt flickered inside me drowned beneath waves of lust. Clothes became obstacles. Shirts tugged loose, buttons clattered onto the floor, her skin glowing in the dim light. Every curve, every line invited exploration, and I obliged with hands, mouth, hunger I hadn't felt in years. She responded with equal fire, pulling me into her world of urgency, erasing boundaries with every movement. When she whispered my name, it wasn't obligation, it was desire, raw and unfiltered. That single sound unraveled me. I held her tighter, lost track of time, lost track of storm still raging outside. Only her mattered. Only this moment of reckless, stolen passion. Later, lying tangled in sheets that smelled of her perfume, chest rising against hers, I stared at the ceiling, heart still thundering. She traced idle patterns on my chest with lazy fingers, satisfaction etched across her smile. "You see," she whispered. "You're free now. You don't need her. You never did." Her words should have comforted. Instead, they pierced. Because as much as I wanted to believe her, part of me knew I had just traded one chain for another, lust stronger than any vow. And yet, as I drifted into restless sleep beside her, I realized something terrifying. I didn't care. Morning light cut through the blinds like sharp blades, exposing the truth I had tried to bury beneath night's passion. Amelia lay beside me, hair strewn across the pillow, lips slightly parted in soft sleep. She looked serene, satisfied, dangerous. I should have left quietly, slipped out before dawn erased the excuses I could offer myself. Yet I stayed, eyes tracing her body, mind replaying every gasp, every desperate touch. I had betrayed my wife, though technically she had already abandoned me. Still, betrayal clung to my skin. The guilt mixed with exhilaration, forming an intoxicating cocktail I couldn't resist. Amelia stirred, eyelids fluttering open. A slow smile spread across her face. "Good morning, stranger." I smirked. "Stranger? After last night?" Her laugh filled the room, playful yet knowing. "Last night was just the beginning." She leaned closer, brushing her lips over my collarbone. Heat surged through me again, threatening to drag me back under. But reality intruded. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, messages from my lawyer, reminders of documents I hadn't yet faced. Amelia noticed, reached across me, and glanced at the screen before I could stop her. "So it's real," she murmured. "She's already moving forward." I nodded, tension stiffening my body. She didn't even give me a chance to fight. Amelia kissed my shoulder, voice low. "Then don't fight. Let her go. You have me now." Her certainty unsettled me. Was this comfort or possession? Did I want her, or simply want to feel wanted? Questions burned, but her hand sliding down my chest silenced them again. Days blurred. I spent nights in her apartment, mornings tangled in her sheets, afternoons pretending to care about work while my thoughts lingered on her laughter, her touch, the way she looked at me as though I were the only man alive. She fed something starved inside me, but with each indulgence, I felt myself slipping further from who I used to be. One evening, after another reckless escape into her arms, I caught my reflection in her bathroom mirror. My tie was crooked, lips swollen, eyes feverish. I looked like someone I didn't recognize, someone desperate, addicted. The knock at her door came unexpectedly. She stiffened, pressing a finger to her lips before moving silently across the apartment. I heard muffled voices, a man's low tone, sharp, demanding. When she returned, her face was pale but composed. "Just a neighbor," she said too quickly. I didn't press her, though suspicion curled in my gut. I wasn't the only one hiding secret. Later, as we lay together, I asked quietly, "Amelia, what are we doing?" She rolled onto me, hair falling like a curtain between us and the world. "We're living. Finally. No rules, no chains." Her kiss silenced doubts, but when she pulled back, her eyes held something fierce, almost possessive. "Don't think about her anymore. Think about me." I wanted to believe. I wanted her to be salvation, not destruction. But deep down, I knew I was standing on the edge of something dangerous, something consuming. That night, I dreamed of my wife, her back turned, walking away, vanishing into shadows. When I reached for her, Amelia's hand pulled me back, nails digging into my skin. I woke breathless, heart pounding, Amelia's arm heavy across my chest. The storm outside had ended, but inside me, it was only beginning. The affair consumed me, yet unease lingered beneath every kiss, every gasp, every stolen night. Amelia burned with intensity, a flame that demanded constant fuel. At first, I mistook her passion for salvation, but slowly, I noticed the edges fraying. She grew possessive. If I didn't answer her calls within minutes, questions followed. Where was I? Who was I with? Why hadn't I come straight to her? My wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, faded into silence, buried under court documents and legal jargon. But Amelia refused silence. She demanded presence, demanded proof, demanded me. One afternoon, she appeared at my office unannounced, heels clicking against the polished floor. Colleagues whispered as she leaned against my desk, lipstick brighter than usual, eyes sharp with challenge. "You've been ignoring me," she said, ignoring the stares around us. "I've been working," I muttered, heat crawling up my neck. "You work too much." Her hand slid across my papers, scattering them like discarded promises. "Come with me." I followed, not out of choice but compulsion. Her grip on my arm was iron. We ended up in her car, rain streaking down the windshield as she kissed me with furious hunger. Every part of me screamed this was spiraling, but my body betrayed me, surrendering again. Later, in her apartment, she confronted me. "You still think about her, don't you?" The question struck like lightning. I hesitated too long. Her eyes narrowed. "I can feel it. She's still in your head." "She left me," I snapped. "She didn't give me a chance." "Then why do you look guilty every time I touch you?" I had no answer. The truth was ugly. Guilt and lust had fused inside me, inseparable. I wanted Amelia with a desperation that frightened me, yet part of me mourned what I had lost. She pushed me back against the wall, nails digging into my chest. "Forget her," she hissed. "She never deserved you." "I do." Her intensity thrilled me, terrified me. I kissed her hard, trying to erase hesitation, but even in that moment, I felt the weight of something dangerous forming. That night, after another storm of passion, I slipped out of bed and wandered her apartment. Curiosity tugged at me. In her desk drawer, I found letters, angry ones, written but never sent. Some addressed to her ex-husband, others to people I didn't recognize. Words bled with obsession, accusations, rage. My stomach tightened. I shoved them back as quietly as I could, returning to her side. She slept soundly, unaware. Yet now I saw her differently, not just a lover but a storm disguised as a woman. The next day my lawyer called. "She's moving fast," he said, meaning my wife. "She wants the house, half your savings, and she's pushing hard." My throat closed. I had expected loss, but not erasure. Amelia's voice echoed in my mind. Forget her. That evening, I told Amelia about the lawyer's call. Instead of sympathy, she smiled. Good. Let her take everything. Then you'll have nothing left tying you to her. Only me. Her words chilled me. Only me. Still, when she pulled me into her arms, I surrendered again. Her body was a drug I couldn't quit, even as I saw the claws hidden beneath velvet. In her embrace, I realized something unsettling. I was no longer running from my wife. I was running toward Amelia. And the faster I ran, the more dangerous she became. Weeks passed in a haze of lust and litigation. Days belonged to lawyers and negotiations, nights to Amelia and her unrelenting appetite. She demanded my presence like oxygen, pulling me deeper into her storm. I had stopped resisting. Yet the more she consumed me, the more I sensed the world around us bending, preparing to snap. The first crack came in the form of an email from my wife. Not through attorneys, not through intermediaries. Direct, personal. "We need to talk. Not about papers. About us." I read it 3 times, heart hammering. Why now? She had been so firm, so distant. And yet here she was, breaking her own rule. I didn't reply immediately, terrified Amelia would somehow see. But later, in the quiet of my office, I typed back. When and where? Her response arrived minutes later. Tomorrow. Our favorite cafe. Noon. I stared at the screen, torn between relief and dread. That evening, Amelia sprawled across my bed, hair tangled, lips swollen from another round of desperate intimacy. She traced lazy circles on my chest. "You're distracted." I forced a smile. "Work." She tilted her head, eyes narrowing. "Not work. Her." I stiffened. She saw it instantly. "She reached out, didn't she?" Silence exposed me. Her expression darkened. "You can't see her. If you do, you'll undo everything we've built." "What have we built, Amelia?" The words slipped before I could stop them. Her nails grazed my skin, sharp enough to warn. "Don't say things like that." I kissed her, trying to silence the tension, but my mind had already drifted to tomorrow. At noon, I sat across from my wife in the cafe where we had once spent lazy Sundays. She looked both familiar and foreign, hair pinned back, eyes tired but resolute. "I didn't expect to hear from you," I said carefully. "I didn't expect to want to talk," she admitted. "But seeing lawyers argue over what was ours, it made me realize how quickly we've let strangers dismantle us." Her voice cracked slightly, softening her hardened edges. My chest tightened. For the first time since that brutal call, I felt the echo of what we once were. "I never stopped caring," I confessed quietly. Her eyes shimmered. "Then why did we stop trying?" The answer twisted inside me. Routine, distance, unspoken resentments, all had eroded us long before Amelia entered the picture. But I couldn't tell her about Amelia now. That secret pulsed in my veins, unspoken, poisonous. We talked for over an hour, not as enemies, but as 2 people clinging to the memory of love. When she touched my hand across the table, warmth spread through me, startling in its simplicity. That evening, Amelia waited. The moment I entered, she studied me like a hawk. "You saw her." I froze. "How?" "I know you." Her tone was cold steel wrapped in velvet. Your eyes, your silence, they betray you. She wanted to talk, I admitted. She wanted to reclaim you, Amelia snapped. And you let her. It wasn't like that. Her laughter was sharp, hollow. Of course it was. She snaps her fingers and you crawl back. Do you think I'll let her steal you from me? Her possessiveness struck like chains tightening. I tried to reassure her, but she pulled me into her arms with desperate ferocity, nails digging, mouth crushing mine. It felt less like love, more like conquest. And as I surrendered once more, a terrifying thought pierced me. I was no longer choosing between two women. I was trapped between two storms, each threatening to destroy me in different ways. Sleep became impossible. My wife's touch at the cafe lingered on my skin, soft, familiar, haunting. Amelia's fire still raged inside me, raw and consuming. I was torn between comfort and chaos, memory and desire. Every choice felt like betrayal. Every hesitation fanned Amelia's suspicions. One night, I came home late, shirt wrinkled, tie loosened. Amelia sat in the dark, waiting. A single candle flickered on the table, its flame unsteady. Her face glowed with eerie calm, but her eyes betrayed the storm. You were with her again. I froze. I wasn't. Don't lie to me. She rose, moving slowly like a predator closing in. I can smell her on you. You think you can keep me in shadows while she plays saint in daylight? Her words cut deep because they were partly true. My wife had asked to meet again, claiming she wanted clarity. I hadn't told Amelia. I couldn't. She's my wife, I said finally, voice cracking. She was your wife, Amelia hissed. You belong to me now. The force in her tone rattled me. She stepped closer, nails tracing my jaw with deceptive tenderness. I gave you fire when she left you cold. I showed you what it means to be alive. And you repay me by running back to her. I grabbed her wrists, trying to steady her. I never asked for ownership, Amelia. Her eyes flared, wounded fury flashing like lightning. Ownership? You think this is about control? No. This is about love, the kind that consumes, that refuses to be abandoned. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed on the table. My wife's name lit the screen. Amelia saw it. In an instant, she snatched the phone, held it like a weapon. She still thinks she has you. Her voice trembled, dangerous. Tell her right now you're done. I reached for the phone. Amelia, stop. She pulled back, clutching it tight. Say it. The demand echoed like a gunshot in the small apartment. I felt my chest tighten, sweat breaking across my skin. My wife's voicemail clicked on, her recorded greeting filling the tense silence. Amelia's eyes locked onto mine, daring me. I couldn't. My throat closed. Her face hardened, grief and rage fusing into something unrecognizable. She hurled the phone against the wall, shattering it into fragments. The sound jolted through me, final and violent. For a long moment we stood in silence, the candle flickering between us. Then she whispered, almost broken, "If I can't have you whole, then neither can she." That night our passion was frantic, fueled by anger, fear, desperation. We clawed at each other, clung to each other, as if trying to prove possession through flesh. Every kiss tasted of salt, every gasp edged with madness. I knew it wasn't love anymore, it was survival, twisted and raw. When morning came, I slipped out quietly, leaving Amelia asleep, her hand curled where I had been. I didn't return her calls. I couldn't. I met my wife again that afternoon. She looked at me with tired eyes and whispered, "We've both made mistakes. Maybe it's not too late." But it was too late. I carried Amelia on my skin, in my blood, in the hollow space where reason used to live. My wife's forgiveness felt like water offered to a drowning man who had already chosen the fire. I walked away from the cafe, neither man nor husband, just ashes of both. And as rain began to fall, I realized the cruelest truth. I hadn't lost my wife or Amelia. I had lost myself.